Welcome. And we have just been on an incredible journey that we're going to talk to you about. We don't have an outline for this presentation. We don't have PowerPoints for this presentation because it's a story. And so we're going to work together to tell you the story. And it has to be told that way for you to get the full flavor of what we've been through. And that's what we're hoping to do. We're not saying whether MOOCs are something you want to do, something we want to support, whether they're good, bad, or ugly. We're saying that it's an opportunity that if we turn our back on it and it becomes something we could use and we didn't use it, we will regret that. It's been an experience, an amazing experience. There are lots of issues around it and lots of things that we've done along the way that we'll try to capture in the next hour for you. And we may miss some things and go back to them and kind of jump around a lot because we couldn't figure out how to plan this. I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody, but Ted and I sat down 3 or 4 times to write a plan and nothing happened. And it wasn't because we don't know what we're doing, it was because we didn't know where to start. There's so much. So we decided to start at the beginning. And so before I go into that, I want to introduce the people who are with me and tell you what they did, and then take it from there. And so at the end is Cass Munoz, who some of you have seen when you registered. Cass is in our instruction office, and Cass does not have an associate's degree, correct? Oh, you have 2. Does not have a bachelor's degree. 2 associate's degree equal 1 bachelor's degree. They do 2 years here, never mind. Anyway, but Cass has been away from it for a while, and she does a lot of writing. And she heard us talking about all this, so she took the course. So we have a student here. Did anybody else in the room take the course or go into it? Oh, you guys. Okay.
I'm the expert.
She's the expert, yeah. Okay. And then sitting next to her is Anna Sterling, and all of you have seen Anna running around. Anna's responsible for our registration materials, for the beautiful guidebook you have for the conference, and you've seen her doing all kinds of things. She works for @ONE. She's a certification coordinator for @ONE. She's at MSJC, and she was one of our technical people on this, more than technical. She was an instructional design person and technical support. She's the person who really put everything into Coursera with the help of another person who's not here, Corinne Sheltrin, who hopefully will see this video or might be watching it, I don't know. And Corinne is out in Raleigh, North Carolina, and she is an instructional designer and does e-learning for Xerox and teaches multimedia online for us from Raleigh. And so she was actually our project coordinator. She was the person that I turned to say, can you get everybody to get this stuff done on time? And that's because I have another job as well as doing this. And then next to Anna is Lori Ross, who is really the content expert extraordinaire for the course, because she has taught this class online, or the content of what you're going to see here, she's taught within another class online. So we turn to her for the experience, the online teaching experience, because our 2 main instructors did not have that. So, which is an interesting thing I'll talk about later. Evelyn Menz is also not here, and she is an English instructor and the Learning Center coordinator at MSJC. And she was responsible for corralling and supporting our 7 peer writing tutors who we paid to be in the class. Out of the tutoring center, we just kept them working longer than when the semester was over, they kept working. And Evelyn trained them and worked with them and kept them informed and moving, because it was kind of hard for us then to deal with 7. So we just dealt with her, and then she dealt with them, and that worked out really, really well, and it was very, very important for us to have that. And next to Lori is Ted Blake, and Ted is one of the main architects of the course when it comes to the content. And he and an amazing English instructor that we have at our college, who's been around for a really long time, Larry Barkley, who's, as a teacher, is just stunning. And he and Ted did most of the content material with the support of Lori and Evelyn. And we picked Ted and Larry. Actually, We didn't pick anybody. I went and talked to Ted and said, do you want to try this? And then we got Larry on board somehow, miraculously. But the cool thing is that they are probably, this group that you're looking at right now, these two particularly, with Larry and Evelyn, are probably our most outstanding teachers at our college. And everybody knows them and loves them for the work that they do. And Larry is probably Professor Emeritus in English at our college. I just have to say, you know, the grammar guy. He's the emeritus? No, that's not the word.
He doesn't teach online.
He's just amazing, but he doesn't teach online. He's not a technophobe either. He's been involved with technology for a long time, but doesn't teach online. And Ted hadn't taught online either. However, Ted has been to this conference before and all of our academy programs and everything. So there's a lot of training that has gone on, even though they haven't done online classes. So that's our team. There were 14 of us. It took 14 people. Okay, so this is not something you want to do alone.
5 weeks.
In 5 weeks, yeah. It's not something you want to do alone. So what happened, I'll tell the beginning and just turn it over to you, and you guys jump in whenever you want it, because you know me. So just jump in whenever you want to say something. I want to start with a comment from one of our students. And where's Nika? Do you know where she is? Where she's from?
She's in Ontario.
Ontario?
Yeah, Canada.
In Canada. You ventured to boldly go where no man had gone before. Well, perhaps not quite. But you definitely created a new universe. How do I know? Well, a universe is defined as the aggregate of all existing matter, energy, and space. End of story. You guys can all leave now. No. The first comment we had was from somebody named Jordan, somebody in Jordan, who said, before this kind of course, education was only a dream. Yeah, wow, you should say, I mean, it gives me chills now, even now. And I know I'm going to choke up, but because it was an incredibly emotional experience. Incredibly. I can't even begin to tell you how emotional it was for us, which we did not expect at all. Not at all. So the way we started this journey was I got a call to attend a meeting at the Chancellor's office with the finance people in the governor's office. And as you probably know, Governor Brown is really interested in creating more access for our students using distance education, and particularly was impressed that the MOOCs had thousands and thousands of students in them, and couldn't there be some way we could use those for our students to give them, you know, a step up and get them through classes quicker and provide for all these students who are turning away and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So we met, and it was really the consensus of the community college side that would be very difficult to do for so many reasons you can probably all think of, none the least of which is your curriculum committee and the way we do classes and the way we approve classes and all of that. And there are huge hurdles that we will have to jump over in order to be able to make these courses available for credit. I think it's doable. I don't know whether we want to or not. I'm not even going to get into that debate. I have no opinion on the matter. It doesn't matter to me whether people get credit for these or they don't get credit for these, or we offer them or we don't offer them. I don't really care. And from the bottom of my heart, I don't care. Okay? Others may have other opinions, but I don't care. And you'll see why in a little bit. But we came to the conclusion the only way we could give credit for courses like these right now with the way things are is through credit by exam, which is very limiting. 30 units is all you get. There's all kinds of issues with that. It's a limiting situation. And then it's college by college. So that was the only way at that meeting that could happen. And there was a lot of talk about other things. That was the first time we talked about a common course management system and all kinds of stuff like that. It was a great meeting. I left there, came back, and talked to Ted about that meeting. And I can't remember everything I said. Do you want to talk about that? When you and I met about it?
Well, I think do you want to talk about, well, yeah, I mean, it was, you know, I got a call as I was going about my business on a Saturday afternoon, right?
Whack.
I called Pat James on the phone, right? You know, and she said, well, I've had some exciting news. I think it was actually after you talked to Daphne. So that's maybe another part. But, you know, I just knew I didn't have any idea what we were getting into, so I'm kind of glad that I didn't have much of an idea. But it has been life-changing. But I do know that it was exciting from the beginning. You know, just to think about the potential here, but I don't think any of us could anticipate the reach of it, and as Pat said, the emotions that were involved. I mean, to be part of such a global community, which we'll get into, and the comments that we're getting has been pretty incredible. But I think from the beginning, you know, as teachers, we've really thought about, you know, how can we use this tool to reach students that we might not otherwise reach, and also reach students at the community college that could really benefit from this somehow. So we'll talk more about that. But yeah, it was a life-changing phone call. Set off a series of events. Yeah.
And what we did was, I actually talked to you before I talked to Daphne. I talked to you and talked to both Ted and Larry, and I think Lori too, before I talked to Daphne about, it was the perfect storm. That's why we called it that. We had no money, right? Economy's tanking, no money, cutting classes left and right. You know, our schedule's just shrinking. And it wasn't, here's transfer, basic skills. It wasn't shrinking like this. It was shrinking like this, okay? With this moving over a little bit and this getting cut big time. So what we were finding was we had less and less course offerings for students who were testing at the lowest level of basic skills, which meant they had to take 3 classes to get to English 101, to get to freshman comp. And we were taking out those classes. The numbers of students who needed it didn't decrease. They, as a matter of fact, were increasing, but we were taking out those classes in favor of transfer because we were doing 1440 degrees. We were, you know, all this stuff is happening all at one time, and which is, I think, why this came about, generally speaking, was about access. It was all happening at the same time. And what I was thinking was, what if we could take something like this and we could do a basic skills English class, and we could market it to our students, not just MSJC, but the whole state, the whole nation, I don't care. We could market it to all you and to us, and those students who didn't assess into anything higher than just the basic skills courses could take that, and those students who couldn't get into classes because they were full, could take that, reassess, and then move on, even if they took the first semester to do that. The first semester they were with us, their freshman first semester, and they could take that because they didn't assess right and they didn't get into a class. They could take this and reassess and then hopefully get in higher. We would just really cut down that amount of time. And as you know, the exit points from those basic skills class, there's so many of them, people drop out, it's a mess. So we figured, why not? We could do that. We weren't sure how yet we could do it, but Barry called me and he said, you could talk to Daphne. I had talked about this idea in that meeting, that initial meeting, and Barry was there with the governor's people. And so Barry said, you're going to do this because you should call Daphne Kohler. Because I had a conversation with her. In the meantime, Chancellor's office people are meeting with Daphne. They had a conversation with her. He remembered what I said. He called me. Perfect storm. Everything, economy, need, all that stuff, all just came together. And so I talked to them. I said, why don't we do this? If we can do it through Coursera, Daphne's interested, why don't we do this? And we said, okay, we do it. We said, okay, we do it. No money, no promise of any money. Not knowing what we were getting into. Okay, we would do it. And then Daphne calls me later and says, there's an opportunity for you to apply for a Gates grant. You have to have a partner. The partner has to be a MOOC provider. It could be Udacity, it could be edX, it could be, there's so many of them, there's about 7 or 8 of them. And we could pick one, and she said, why don't we just do it that way, and you could apply for a grant. And so I went, oh, okay. And a Gates grant, how many of you have tried to apply for a Gates grant? It's not a fun thing, and it's very hard to do, and I mean, it's hard to get into, and they have really unrealistic turnaround times. We had 8 months to build this course. And we didn't even start because we were out at summer when we got it, and then there was Christmas in between, and winter break. We were winter break, and then there was all kinds of stuff going on. So we got the money finally. We got the grant, got the money in November. We got $50,000. Now you would think, I went, build a class, $50,000, no sweat. That's great. Build 10 classes for $50,000, or 5 at least for $50,000. You know, we build classes for no money, and, so we could do that. Boy, was I wrong. I was really wrong. We could have used another 50, easily used another 50, just to pay everybody something, not even what they needed, just something, so that they were for the extra amount of work, which wasn't tiny to get this done. So we applied for the grant along with some other colleges in our system. We were the only ones that got it. We were the only college in California. There were 9 colleges. 3 were community colleges. Wake Tech, let's see, one in Ohio that I can't even remember the name of, Cuyahoga or something. Cuyahoga in Ohio, Wake Tech, and us. The other colleges were Duke, Ohio State, Georgia Tech, University of Michigan. I'm trying to think of what the other ones were. There were 9 anyway. So the ones doing writing, Duke, Ohio State, and Georgia Tech. And I'm finding myself in meetings with talking about sequencing English classes. We were in meetings with people talking about sequencing English classes in Google Hangouts. It was Duke, Ohio State, Georgia Tech, and Mount San Jacinto College.
And only one professor would really admit that they had students at their university that needed help with the writing. It's a woman from Duke, which was eye-opening because she said, no, they're here. You know, she was giving, a wake-up call. But that's our world. But anyway,
We did grammar and language usage. I'm sorry, I love you guys, but that's watching paint dry. And, and so how do you make it something else? Okay. And Lori, do you want to say anything about this whole beginning stuff or what you were thinking?
The thing that Pat tends to get us into stuff. but the thing that got me inspired when she came in, Ted and I share an office, and she came in and she said, there are people out there who just want to learn some English. And I said, that I want to do.
Yeah.
That I wanted to do. I'd already done the online class. I knew kind of what was going to I thought. I had no idea. But I knew what I thought was going to happen. But at the end of this, I came back to that comment you made, that there are people who just want to learn English. They don't care about the sequence. And that was what inspired me, and what came back to me at the end was that phrase, that there's people out there who just want to know stuff.
You want to say something at this point, Anna? Or do you want to wait?
I'll just say one quick thing. If anybody was in my session yesterday, you remember I said I'm deathly afraid of English. So when they asked me to be part of this project, they didn't tell me specifically what the content was. So they tricked me into it. But it was exciting for me because that's a subject that I've always struggled with. Being a computer person and being a technology-centered person, English has always been that kind of like, stay away from me, I can't do it. So it was great because through this whole process, I got to learn too. So, but I still think they tricked me into it.
And we'll wait on Cass because she's not part of the story yet.
All right.
So we'll get you in. Except you might be. No, not yet. Except the craziness of going on in the office probably. But I just lost what I was getting. Something. Yeah. No, it was something you had said.
After Christmas.
Yeah.
About when you tricked me into it?
Oh, I know what it was. We had a comment that said that Ted and Larry and Lori have started the grammar flu.
That's
And
funny.
that we were all infected with the grammar flu. And what else was it? There was something else about that comment. We had grammar flu, and I can't remember the rest of it. The grammar virus, and we all now had grammar flu.
They were looking at commas and apostrophes and everything in their writing. They're hypersensitive to it, right?
And so were we. So we're not English teachers, right? But everything I wrote around everything was, oh, shoot, I don't know if a comma goes there or not. And so I would just change completely what I wrote because I didn't want it to look dumb. I mean, it really, when you start looking at your writing like that, even just the basic stuff, it changes the way that you write. It really does, just to be involved with it. How many of you are English teachers, just so we know? Okay, it does. You do infect your students with this hypersensitivity to what they're writing. So we were all infected, whether we were English teachers on a project or not. Okay, so let's show you the class. We got into it. We got the grant. We started developing. We brought on 2 people I haven't told you about, Jerome and Tom, Jerome Billings and Tom Merritt, who are videographers in the multimedia department. If you met these guys, they're characters. They are. They're amazing, but they're definite personalities. And Jerome, particularly, his personality comes out in the videos. There's one video we're going to try to find for you particularly, but If you look, let's go to the,
Here's the
just,
About Us.
yeah, let's just look at this is the About Us page. This is Jerome right here, and Tom's a little further down. There's Evelyn, and there's Tom. So you can kind of see what they look like, and there's Corinne, and then there's all of our TAs are down at the bottom, and they were pretty amazing too. We knew we were going to have help in the discussion forums. We knew that, you know, we didn't know how much help. We got it pretty well. We did pretty well with what we thought. It worked out fairly well for us.
It did.
If you want to go back up to the top, wait before you go in. The design of the course is the design that we use in the @1 IOTL course. It's the same design. And we went in and looked at a bunch of courses and in Coursera and didn't find any that we really liked the design of. The Coursera template that comes to you, do you want to comment on that?
I'm just saying it's challenging. It's, you know, that was the other thing when I came into this program. So I've been working with content management systems for years and use both Blackboard and Moodle on a regular basis, have a little bit of experience with Canvas and some additional like industry management systems. So I figured going into this, excuse me, the issue wouldn't be learning the management system, it would be the content and actually bringing the content in and organizing it and all of that kind of stuff. I was completely wrong. The management system for me particularly was more challenging than I anticipated. And it's got a lot of quirks. And it's set up in a way that, to me, looking at it from an instruction point, didn't make sense. And then I learned more about it, and I realized it was, you know, it was designed by computer science people. And then I started looking at it with my computer science hat on, and it started to make more sense to me. So it's definitely an interesting, again, challenging management system. But once you figure it out, it's great. And it has some really cool features.
Because of the story, you see how it happened? I mean, I didn't go out looking for a partner. A partner came and got us. So it wasn't, you know, I already had a conversation with her. It wasn't about, you know, obviously we weren't going to go with anyone else because they have to also recommend you, and they're involved in the whole process. Yeah. We own the content, and Coursera does too. So they have the course, right? I mean, they do, but we do too. And actually, this content is Creative Commons licensed. So that was part of the Gates requirements. So it is part of Creative Commons, so anyone can use it. We can give it to anybody who wants it, which was really good. I mean, we were really excited about that. And as you're looking at this, about down to here was what we would say is a normal course for us. We took what we knew about teaching online and we applied it to this, which is some of what Anna's frustration was about. Because it's not like a course management system we're used to. There's things you can't do, you know, a lot of things you can't do. But the reason you can't do them is because if you try to do them with thousands of people, it'd be a problem. So, you know, they're working on those things. They're building it, you know, and so it has its really strong points if you're dealing with thousands of people. We had 43,000 people enroll. And we were watching it. You want to show the map? Yeah. We were watching it happen over days. There's the map. We were watching this map build over like 3 days. It just went, first it was just us, and then it went, and we're going, oh my gosh, you know. We had, I would say, 80% international. At least 80%. We don't, it's about 2/3. We don't have all of our data yet. They're working on it still. We just ended this last Saturday, so we don't have all of our information. We can show you some stats, but we don't have much. But we had a sense about there was going to be a lot of ESL. We had a sense about that. I looked at a lot of other classes. I knew that. It wasn't our target. It wasn't that we didn't care about them. We do, but our target was something else, and we had to just go forward with what we were trying to do and let them know. This is what we're trying to do, just so you know. And we did. And everybody was okay with that. And students kept coming back in and saying, I know that you did this for this, but we need this. And, you know, and so we learned a lot about that.
And what was the enrollment?
The enrollment was 43,000, but 25,000 active. We don't have that yet, but I can tell you how many people. It's a bad percentage, but you can't look at it that way. Okay? No, you can't. You really can't. Because they're in there for so many reasons. And we have a survey of 15,000 that tell you why. And I'm not just making, I mean, you're laughing at me, I can see you. But I'm not. Here's what you look at. You don't look at the success rate because of the people who are coming in. And I wish we could really focus on the people coming into our classes everywhere. You know, I really do, because that makes a huge difference. Why are they there? We had so many teachers in there looking at the course for their own, many of them saying we want to use these materials. They didn't even take the course. They just went and looked at the materials. Lots of people looked at the materials, didn't turn in the assignments. We had 8,000 turn in the first assignment. So maybe we could start with 8,000 and say that's where we start. 8,000 turned in the first assignment. After that, we ended up with 3,500 completing and a little over 2,700 who got certificates, who finished and passed at 80%. Now, think about it this way. How many of you were in Barbara's thing yesterday? If you saw Barbara's thing yesterday, she's got it done. She's a statistician, and she's got it figured out. How long would it have taken you to teach 2,700 successful students? Okay? You can't measure success and retention the way you would in a regular class. It's not how many started and how many completed. It's how many turned in the first assignment, then why did they not? And then how many turned in the second assignment, and why did they not? And then that's how you have to look at it. And we're excited that there were 2,700 students who passed. 2,700.
You had a question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
How do all the students find out about MOOC?
You know, that's a great question, because we had no idea. I think people know of Coursera. It's kind of a high-profile one. But right as we were building this, there was a Time Magazine article that focused on Coursera, Udacity, and edX, I think. And so I think it was just kind of in the popular media. But I do know that several students who came into our course, we had many first-time, like Courserians, as they call themselves, because this was the first class offered through Coursera that was below a college level, which we were looking at basic writing. This is kind of modeled after some of the content that's 3 levels below composition. All the rest of them are 100 level or above. They're designed for the university. So we got a lot of first-time people, but we also had a lot of people that once they take a class and they mention it to other students, they're like, well, welcome to learning addiction, because you're going to want to take these a lot and just keep learning about all these different interesting things. And so we had a lot of people that were, they were retired. They were just learning for the sake of learning, which was, that was pretty incredible. Yeah.
So now that you've done it one semester, how big a team do you need to do it the second semester deploying the same content?
Yeah, I think even 14 people was a challenge. I think we'd have a different timeline. But, really, if I would never consider doing one of these without a team of people and really carefully selecting, because I couldn't have done what Anna did or Lori did or Pat did. There's no way. I spent most of my time, I wrote 2 of the week's worth of content, but I also spent a lot of my time making the videos. And so that was a big time commitment as well. So I know we got a few more questions, yeah.
You're looking for MOOCs,
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of them.
Awesome. Yeah.
Right now, the ones that we're tracking are the ones out of San Jose State that are for math, basic math. They're not basic, they're beginning math, like the beginning math classes. And then there's one at Wake Tech that is pre-algebra that they're doing. So those are available to you as well. And there again, the Wake Tech is Creative Commons.
Are you going to pull this down and make it a traditional course? Or are you going to keep it?
We're talking about that. Larry and I are going to take it to curriculum. What we want to do is we want to go to more of an open entry, open exit model with this level of English, because it's a 3-unit course. So we don't know exactly what it'll look like. Possibly a half a unit students would go through. We're just not sure. But we do know that this all started in the English department, really wanting to look at because we only had about 16% of students that would make it all the way from this level through 101. We knew we could do better, and so Larry has always wanted to do an open entry, open exit. But we're going to have to modify the content. It's going to have to be different for our students at our college for some credit. Yeah. No, exactly. So there's going to have to be a different.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. Yeah, we have some basic skills money we're going to use. We also went to our president and said, here's what's going to happen. We're cutting out all these basic skills classes. When classes come back, are we going to put those back in, or are you guys going to put in the transfer level stuff? And they're going to want to put in the transfer level stuff. So we have money that we've been spending on these basic skills courses, paying teachers to do that. Can you please give us what you would spend on one course so that we can keep this going? And he said yes. So if you can think about taking the money you would spend on one course and at least having that.
Or
and
a
then,
portion of it.
Yeah, well, no, all of it. And then all of it. And then supported also by grants and helping us with that. And then our tutoring departments want to help too. So we can fund it in a variety of ways, but you have to kind of make that trade-off and make an argument for why that would be. We want to show you some things. So we want to answer a bunch of questions, but let us show you some stuff, and then we'll take the last bit to answer questions if that's okay. So
yeah, go ahead.
Just one thing on the map, because I was the person in the discussion forums when this thing opened. You learn really quickly when they wake up. Because it would get really quiet over the Pacific Ocean, and then it would get really busy, and you're like, okay, China woke up. Okay, India's in, and you learn the world clock within like 2-3 days. You know who's waking up because you know who's posting. So,
maybe the
side benefit. I learned a lot about time zones.
Talk about this one, Pat. This is
or we can start here.
Well, you know, one of the things we did that was different when we did the grant is we have a real need at our college, I'm sure you've noticed it too, that students, especially the students that start this low in English, may not be the most savvy students with technology, and learning online is a completely different way of learning. There's not homework where you're going to class and you're going home to do your work. It's work. And so we built in a module for week 1 that was becoming a successful online learner. Wasn't worth as many points, but it was a good overview, and that was a key part of our grant proposal we felt really strongly about, was putting this together. So we have this module built in, and it just takes students before they were doing any of the actual work. And I think this was really helpful because, as I said, we had many, many students, thousands of them, that this was their first time learning in a Coursera MOOC, some of them first time learning online, and then learning in English on top of that, which we didn't anticipate. We were looking at MSJC, maybe California Community College students, maybe US Community College students, but by the end of week 1, we're like, that it was not this, it was incredible, it was just blown apart.
We don't want to swear on
We had to
on
specify, no, American English is what we're looking for, because we had those questions. You want Oxford English? Or we hadn't anticipated that.
Burning question, go ahead.
A lot of what kind of English were we using?
Available to other people such as myself and my colleagues to study and or use.
Yes, and I'll put a website while we're talking about it so that you can go there. What I did was I logged in under one of my trash email addresses that I have. And so I'm going to give you the logon. And that's probably what we have to take out, Chris, out of this video, this piece. I'm going to give you that email address and the logon. So after this, you can go in and see it. You can download the videos, and you can take the reading materials, and you can take all of it. You
But
just
I
have to
think,
figure out how to get it
you
out.
can sign up for the. I went. You can't, because
No,
I
you
went
can't
into
sign up
Denise's
for it
course
now.
when it was over, I think.
Yeah, but it
Anyway.
says archive now, so
All
we
right.
can't. If you register for it while it's open, you can register at any time, depending on how people set it up. But ours is archived now, so you can't register anymore for it.
We'll be teaching it again in
So,
September,
in
mid-September, so you can watch it.
But I will
live if
give
you
you
want
a
to.
link here, so at some point in a minute. Don't let me forget to do that. And just real quick, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the experience of grading 8,000?
We'll show you. We'll show you.
Yeah, we'll
show
get
you.
there.
We'll get there. We'll
But
show
the
you
short
that.
answer was I didn't have to grade 8,000. I just had to hear about it, which was. I'd probably rather grade the 8,000 actually. I know, it's interesting.
Okay, so we'll scroll down just a little bit. The components of this were a little more detailed of this unit than the rest of them because we wanted them to experience what an online unit was like. And so we really went into more detail for the first one while we're teaching them how to be online students than we did the others. But we also had a little nav video that showed them how to get through the course. And you know, the one that you guys saw a little while ago, the end of with the students, there's more to that. But that's what this one is. We're not going to show that. But we're going to go to, let's go to 2.
Yeah, week 2.
And you can talk. And Anna, do you want to talk about this at all, about how you put this in?
I don't know
Anna
what you're
made
looking
everything
at.
look really nice.
Well, I think that was the one thing when we went into this is we had content experts. They're phenomenal, amazing English people. But 2 of the 3 had never taught online, were not familiar with that environment. And so when I received the content, it was 20 pages in a Word document. Here you go. I was like, all right, let's do this. So that's, you know, but that part of it was kind of cool also because that gave us an opportunity to really look at the content and decide how we could deliver it the most efficient way that would make it easy for our students to participate. And we looked at a couple different ways, and we realized, you know, based on the, again, what we thought was going to be our target audience, very basic entry-level students from the United States, exactly, from the United States.
Day 2, we figured that out.
We built in all of these kind of you can't get lost navigation features and made it so that the content had the same look and feel, a continuity through the units.
You see the back and next button at the bottom.
Yeah, these
At
were
the bottom
nice.
and everything, it tells you what to do next. And if you're at the end of it all, it tells you to go back and do the next week when it opens. So we opened it progressively. We didn't open it all at once. And I think that's probably...
It was partly because we were building it.
It was partly because we were building the ship or the plane in the air, as Larry liked to put it. And he also said, I remember him saying along about week 3, we now have landing gear, which was really good. But anyway, we also made it very clear what they were going to do. This is what you're going to learn. The objectives are there. This is what you're going to do. And it's in order. This is really effective practice for distance ed. So this was in order. These things link out to the pieces, and you go through them in order. And the videos, and I think Ted's going to pick one to show you.
I think that's in the second part of this one.
Yeah. Maybe.
The videos were interesting. Whoops.
Oh, you went to
The
conjunction
videos were
reading.
interesting because one of the things that Coursera does is that you can put these little yellow lines are in video quizzes.
Cool. Really cool.
The last 3 parts of speech are prepositions, conjunctions, and interjections. So I'll just take you toward the end of this, and then we can watch watch this. Where you'll gauge your understanding of the 2 types of conjunctions and prepositions. And it goes right into this. Fade us out. And then
Students really liked that, by the way. They loved
Yeah.
Ted
They
and
liked
Larry.
They
the
love this
They
piece.
loved this part.
And then you would submit. It tells you.
And then it tells you,
You can get an
explains why.
You can get an explanation. So these, they could do them till they got them correctly, but the idea is that before they leave the video, they do the review, they kind of test their understanding. We looked at the videos less as video lectures. Many people on Coursera, they just give their lecture, which really on a learning model, it should be changed. We looked at them more as a pre-reading. You know, maybe you haven't heard about adjectives since the 5th grade, so, or maybe you're learning English, so this is getting you ready for the readings to follow. This is what you'd watch first. You do the quiz a little bit. It's just getting you ready to dive into that. So the reading is a little bit of review, and then it goes into more depth. So we like that model. Seemed to work pretty well.
Stop for Cass. How did you like the videos? What did you think about those?
Yeah, I did like the videos, and as Ted said, it did prepare you for the readings. So yeah, it was, and you know, we did feel the same way as many of the international students that you and Larry were rock stars. By the end of it, you know, international rock stars. So yeah, I think it was good. It helped to, you know, mix things up a little bit, and I'm sort of a visual learner that I'm finding out. So the videos were good for me too, and I like the quizzes as you watch the videos.
Yeah.
And was that designed by you or by Coursera or
It was by us. It
Well,
was by us.
the tools exist in Coursera, but the videos were shot, you know, locally by our team, Ted and Larry there, obviously. And then when we put them in, there's a tool in Coursera that allows you to put them in the video. So that's what I'm saying is it's something you have to get used to, but some of the stuff in it is really cool, and that's one of those pieces.
Well, and in
Those questions that you're putting in, very similar to the clickers.
yeah,
But if you change, hey, I want to add more questions, how hard is it to modify this
it's
video?
easy.
You add it later on?
Yeah, the quiz part of it is a separate piece. So you shoot the video is one piece, you upload that video, and then where you put in those yellow markers is basically just like entering a quiz in any course management system.
But if you notice that some students aren't doing well, and you say, I'm going to add a couple more questions.
Yeah.
Can you do it on the fly?
Yes, yes.
Could've
Yeah,
done
yeah, yeah.
Except they're connected to points, so as long as you're within those things. But one of the things I want to say real quick is that we looked at different models for the videos, and many of them are one person sitting at a desk or in front of a classroom, right? So we had originally wanted to have a group of students that we were talking to, and if you watch our intro, you see that model. We talked to Coursera, and they said, well, they thought maybe it wouldn't draw the student in. So I still don't know where I stand on that, but I do know that what we ended up with did work well, having two of us, where we would go back and forth. So we had some interplay, we would interrupt each other occasionally, and it was nice to have both of us there. And if you notice, we're basically touching each other, although you don't really notice that. That was one of the interesting things. They said, man, if you're in a comfortable space, it'll look like you're a million miles apart, which was kind of funny. So we did have a script, but it was the kind of thing where you have a script, but make it look natural. Don't read it. So that was hard, not being an actor, doing that. But we had an outline, and then the examples, you can tell we get a break. It kind of goes off screen because we'll show the example to the student on it was like a tablet that's put into. Yeah,
Oh,
this was
yeah.
very
Oh,
time
yeah.
consuming and very taxing
yeah.
for us. Some of the videos are better than
Yes,
others.
and
but
our videographers were
were great
hysterical
coaches.
because they're looking at production. It's got to look like this, and and this has to happen here, and we got to have the cameras going that way, and no, wait, stop, because the camera's not on you, and it's got to come over your shoulder, and we're going, we want to teach. Yeah, just want to teach. But they were right. And as you see, I mean, can you kind of scroll
Yeah,
through
we
that
should-
and maybe
we
get
can
to,
see
is
a
this the
little
one
bit
you
of our
read?
interplay, yeah.
More types of conjunctions that we're going to take a look at now, and they're just as helpful to know, in fact, possibly even more helpful as you continue to grow as a writer. The first one is adverbial conjunctions, and a good way to remember a nice list of these is to remember the acronym HOT, SHOT, CAT, and that stands for however, otherwise, and therefore is hot. Similarly, hence, on
Good.
the other hand, and thus makes shot, and cat, consequently, also, and then. But there are many of these. Or phrases, subordinate conjunctions actually change and subordinate one type of a sentence to another one. But this is actually fairly simple.
Yeah, let me interject something. The subordinate,
I think this is the one where I said so these are my favorites. I'm trying
Yeah.
to get to where Larry's laughing
I
at me.
need to write my English paper.
So the next type of conjunction are subordinate conjunctions. Now, whereas adverbial conjunctions are going to create a logical relationship between two sentences or phrases, subordinate conjunctions actually change and subordinate one type of a sentence to another. But this is actually fairly simple.
Yeah, let me interject something. The subordination here just means that it reduces its position in relationship. So you have one sentence that's more important, or one group of words is more important than another group of words. And that subordinate group of words is what we're going to be talking about.
This is one of the most important strategies.
I want,
Anyway.
We were going to show you. There's an outtake. It's an outtake. It's of Larry laughing, and when Larry's laughing, he laughs like this. He doesn't make any noise. It's this bouncing up and down with this crinkled face.
Well, that was production. They had to take these
They
separate
took that,
when they
and Ted said something about my personal favorite adverbial clauses or something. I don't know what it was. My personal favorite adverbial clauses. And then the next shot is Larry going, and you know what? Beautiful. Because there was such humanity to it, and we got compliments and comments. I'm going to try to find one while you go ahead.
There's a lot of comments on the discussion boards about your and Larry's interaction, and
Yeah.
it was so many people picked up on that, and they felt so connected to Ted and Larry, and that was
we
really
did
cool.
bond, but it was also, if you notice, that's very different than what you would get in a classroom.
And
So it's just this different kind of a thing, really. It felt like, to me, like putting together a textbook that was sort of interactive in
Yeah,
these different places more than anything.
The quizzes and the screenshots with the, you know, with the red and everything, that was really helpful for me.
Yeah.
And it because if you're in a classroom watching an instructor or watching a video, sometimes you'll start zoning out, and if someone's just talking to you constantly, so that really helped to keep my attention, and I like that part of it.
Yeah.
I did the tools. I can't really see the tools on the other side, and I do recognize sort of the Blackboard left side a little bit reminiscent of it. But
Yeah.
is there a closed caption for access?
Yes, there is. They were all captioned.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all captioned. And they caption them for you. We regret. You do? Really? Cool. I'm going to put a lot of movies that we're not going to keep in here, but I'm going to put them in there and you can caption them. No, we were real excited about that. They were a little slow on it. And the first ones we put up, it took them a few days to caption. We didn't know how long. So they were up with the students before they were captioned, and the international students were not happy about that. They really needed to caption. So, yeah.
Pat?
It's not a correspondence course. It isn't.
No.
It's not regular effective contact the way we see it in our regular courses either. It's not. It's, which is why I'm saying I don't care about credit, because I haven't heard anybody talk about the feds saying, no regular effective contact. I haven't heard any of that. So, this is going to be interesting to see what happens with it. We went at it, this is a resource. We went at it as a resource and reaching a lot of people and having the scalability and, and the ability to do it without a lot of instructor contact. Although I will tell you, these videos feel like instructor contact. And Ted and Lori,
I was going to talk a little bit about the discussion boards, because that was my biggest part, other than checking content to make sure it matched online learning with Anna. I was in the discussion boards when it first opened, and I don't know how people do not go in these discussion boards, because I was in there 3 or 4 times a day, answering 10 or 12 questions at a time, and there were hundreds of questions. Mostly they would answer each other's questions, and so if they did that, all I had to do was click approved. Yeah, I like that answer. But then I ended up with certain rules, because we had so many questions. I didn't answer anything that hadn't been sitting there for 6 hours, because I wanted to make sure that somebody else tried it first, and because I didn't have that much time.
It's been over for 5 days, and somebody just posted 25 minutes ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They want to connect. They started writing a story together up here, the never-ending story, where they each had a paragraph.
And it doesn't end.
There's all kinds of things that are going on.
the grading happens through peer review.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one of the ways, and the quizzes. So that was really the only way that you could do it. There's other ways in signature courses where students pay for the class, and Coursera has a sliding scale of, you could pay $35 and get a signature course, and it verifies who you are, and there's some other things that happen there. I don't know all about that. The first one I saw said $85 with a line through it, big sale, $35. I thought that was funny. But for a little more of a certificate that says a little more about what you did and identifies you as the person who actually did it. I don't know how they're doing that either. That wasn't our interest, so we weren't really going in that direction.
Just a few comments about the peer review, which was great. There was some statements on the discussion board about people complained, saying, other students are grading my work that may not have, the knowledge to be grading. But I didn't find that at all, having to go in and review other students' work. I had to go through the readings and say, again, so it was a learning experience for me to do the peer review. And at the final assignment, I had one paragraph about Chinese moon pies, all different types of Chinese moon pies, because it was culture and food was this topic, and the effect of at the festival and in the family. It was amazing. And another writer from South America. It was just incredible and very emotional, like, you said, much more than I ever expected.
Yeah, when we weighted the points.
I had to turn that over to me. I wanted to go back to regular effective contact
Yeah,
real
we don't
quick
wanna
too,
talk about that.
because a couple things we did is that we did get remarks that we had 2 instructors, 7 TAs, Pat and Anna, and a few other people that were responding to discussion boards. So we got comments in comparison to other MOOCs that there was much more instructor and TA interaction with these, which was good. I also recorded at least one webcam video from my desk each week, kind of updating with an announcement, updating students. This is what's been going on. Keep going. I like what we're seeing, or any adjustments that we made. So we did everything we could at the, especially creating it as we were going along, to keep in touch with the students, and they really did feel connected.
We
to the
took what we
class
know about
to-
online learning.
Yeah.
And I went to Philadelphia to the Coursera Partners Conference, and I was the only community college person there. And there were professors there who were totally excited about what they were doing, but I kept asking them, have you ever taught online before? Have you ever taught? I didn't find one that had ever taught online before. Not one. And so they were real excited about teaching online, but they were also real excited about being rock stars. Okay? And one of them, but it's in a cool way. One of them was traveling around the world a lot, and he would tweet where he was going to be, and people would come and meet with him. They formed study groups. There were at least four that I know of, Facebook groups formed. I lurked in one. There were, which was interesting too. There were study groups in Google Hangouts. They formed themselves. There were people meeting face to face if they lived together. They formed these incredible groups, and I'm thinking, a study group for parts of speech. But they're international. They're ESL students. There's all kinds. We think we'd like to have an ESL instructor on our team. The next time we offer it, which is September 19th, we're going to offer it again. And we'd like to have that. Now, will the work be cut down? Of course, the content's all done and in. We're going to have to adjust. We're going to need Anna. We're going to need the teachers. We're going to have to work on it. We're going to need our peer tutors. No running away.
But yeah, we had
Our
grading.
best email buddies.
I just want to mention about the points. So even though it's supposedly not for credit, and you would think it's just really a time, which I like Evergreen State College, where they don't do grades, but I had like high expectations. People were still obsessed with points, to the point that completely obsessed, to the point that we had some back and forth with someone, because I've always weighted the points, but there was some confusion, but yeah, it's still very much people want to achieve the grade and get the points and get the certificate, and all that, which was eye-opening to me, and most people who did the assignments did really well with that. So,
but that was the peer assessment issue.
But the peer assessment issue was essentially, the way we did it was peer grading, which isn't how we do it in our classes. When you give students work to look at, it's participation points, really. And so that's an adjustment we'll make. We had half of them that were participation, and the other half that were graded. So let's go on to some other questions. Yeah.
Do you have an example of one of the writing assignments?
Yeah, I can just tell you, at the end they were writing a paragraph, and we had a 90-point rubric that had about 12 to 15 categories.
Yeah,
it's pretty extensive.
I wrote all the rubrics.
They had to have all 4 sentence types. Larry and I wanted to work with questions about culture. So we asked them, what's a cultural tradition that's meaningful to you, and can you explain it? So that really drew from that international audience. For the first section, they took a 2-word sentence, like, or a 3-word sentence, like the woman walks, and then they added parts of speech to it. They tried to expand it using each of the parts of speech. And we tried to scaffold them. We also had journal assignments too, that they would do on their own, and then the final assignments were.
And the journal assignments needed to be peer-reviewed?
Those weren't peer-reviewed. Some of them would share them on the discussion boards, though, which was nice. And even their peer-reviewed assignments, if they didn't get feedback. One of the things we didn't do is have a box for comments. We didn't think we could mix the points and the comments at first. But once we added that, they were able to comment and say, things about each other's writing. So, yeah.
Going forward, will you have in there, or did you already have it built in there, some sort of pre-assessment survey so that you would know what literacy rates the
No.
various
No.
It is text-driven.
No, we didn't.
We thought about it. We thought about a pre-test. We thought about some of those things. I don't know. I don't think we will. There's a lot of debate on whether we should have separated out the ESL from the
Timing issues
native
are all weird too
speakers,
when people are coming in, and all kinds. There's all kinds of timing issues involved there too. We could do it, but you'd have to have a lot of the variables, ESL and some other things
It's a
there
good
too.
question. I'm in each of the other English ones.
There is a survey.
Yeah, there was a survey.
Yes, yes. And we have had people who have reassessed, so that's a good thing. But yes, there is a survey about who they are, why they're there, what their intentions are, and then there's one at the end we haven't seen yet. So since it closed, we just still haven't seen all that, and we hope to. We don't have much time left, which is really a bummer.
One question.
Nice thought, yeah.
It's a good thought. You know, essentially what we're hoping is that it's open, it's free, it's online. Any college could use this in any way that they feel like they want to coordinate.
Yeah,
You
and
know, they could take it, they could facilitate some of it, and then use it for their purposes.
there were so many things about, you know, this being the only access to education people had in different parts of the world.
Right. Yeah,
And that, I mean, so many comments about that. Someone organized a thank you letter writing campaign on a different site. We have all those letters if you want to see some of those in a binder. We have them all. And that was amazing. And someone else wanted to do like a Kickstarter thing for us and get us money. We had to tell them they couldn't do that. We want to pay you. And it's okay, we got paid, you know. But the response of the gratitude is overwhelming. The gratitude is overwhelming. I cannot state that enough. That when people talk to me, like the thing I said yesterday about mistaking sustainability for greed, you have to, you know, once you do this, I did it because I wanted to know, and I've taken heat from all kinds of people about this in ways I don't even want to tell you, but for doing this. Why would you do this? These are really bad. We're not going to lose. One thing Ted said to me is, I did this and I never felt that my job was ever threatened. You know, it just, what are we here for? What are we here for? We're here so people get educated by any means possible is kind of the way I feel about it. That's what I'm here for. If I can't give what I know to somebody, what am I worth as an educator? Absolutely nothing. So for me, this was just a work of the heart. I think it was for all of us, for every one of us. It just was something we were doing because it's right to do. We don't care what happens to Coursera. If they go monetize themselves, fine, go monetize yourself. Let us teach our class. Gates says we have to do it for 5 years. If we have to get off Coursera, we'll figure another way to put it out there. You know, it's just what we have to do as people. And like I said the other day, you know, I was a little sweeter about it, but I don't want to live in a world with stupid people. I want to live in a world where people understand that global warming is happening. I don't care who created it or how it got created, it happened, and they need to be able to investigate the science. You know, I've got grandkids, I want to live on the planet. You know, I mean, you got to go there. Why aren't we going there? You know, we're worried about accreditation and all that. I get that, but you know, put your own worries about your job and is the content exactly right aside for just a minute or two. We're going to show you the last, I think.
And if anybody, I mean, you know, they talked about getting addicted to learning. I mean, my whole thing was, my follow-up to that was, I think more people might come to colleges and universities after trying this because they get thirsty for it. They want to specialize. And what we saw was just this incredible spirit of learning, and it was inspiring to see how many people were just taking it for the sake of learning. And they see they can do it. Yeah,
yes.
They do, and
yes.
they build their confidence.
Many people said that the confidence just went way up.
All right, hello everybody. We got a special treat for you. Everybody decided to gather to say our best wishes for you after taking the class. So thanks again, everybody, for such good work and dedication throughout the class. I know we've had a few bumps in the road, but I think everything's running smoothly. So everybody's here, the whole team, except for the TAs, and there are a few other people who are either out of state or on our other campus that couldn't be here today. But this is the group. You can see what went into the whole effort of producing this class. And we're so grateful that you were a part of it.
It's been fun, it's been hard work, but it's been look good.
Thank you, Tom and Jerome.
See how he's laughing?
And thanks to Pat James, she's in there in the back kind of narrating. Since she was the creation of the whole project, the initial contact, and grateful for all your support.
Without her, this wouldn't have happened.
No, I'm the crazy one. Actually, never mind. We're all crazy. That's why we're here. We're the inspiration for our craziness. I encourage craziness all over the place. We also need to thank the Gates Foundation for providing us the funds to bring this to you, and Coursera for allowing us to use their platform, and continue to use it. When I started in class, was it September 19th? Yeah, I know. We'll be looking for
We all nod really well. All in unison.
Y'all be well.